Hey guys, it's Selwen here, finally starting off with some beta content, and what better place to start than with some class previews. Now I'll have to add some disclaimers in every single one of these videos since you might have guessed, this is beta and things could change at any moment. As it stands now in the beta, besides some classes, I think the majority of the reworks have been done, besides some tweaks especially related to numbers, but on these previews we are not really gonna talk about that as it's worthless at this point in time. We're just gonna see what has been changed from baseline and talents and generally how the specs are playing out. Now, the demo Warlock, as most of you might know, has been through a big revamp, one of the few specs that has been through such changes. Even since the alpha came out, there's been quite a lot of changes, but the core idea of it has remained the same. Now, from live, it's quite a big change. You're still all about summoning demons and all of that, but that empowerment crap is gone, and the life tap nonsense is also gone, thank god. Your artifact ability is also gone completely, and in general now you just all about summoning demons through soul shards like before, but now they are generated much quickly and not just through shadow bolts and the doom decks. So let's just look at the spellbook here to see what's new. So starting off with Demon Bolts, it's sort of your new big generator of soul shards, the most effective way to do it in fact. It looks awesome as you can see here, still using those classic Demon Bolt effects, mixing fire with shadow, although the projectile might change as it seems to use the same as Shadow Bolt, which is kinda underwhelming for a spell called Demon Bolt. It hits pretty decently, although I know it's kinda hard to tell with the number squish, and gives 2 soul shards as opposed to Shadow Bolts that only gives 1. Now, as you probably noticed, has a huge cast time. That is because you're not really supposed to be casting it. It kinda works like the old Soulfire and the Molten Core procs. So you actually need to get stacks called Demonic Core here. They can stack up to 4, making the Demon Bolts instant cast, becoming your proc essentially, just like the old Molten Core. To get them is either gonna be through your Wild Imps, which are still summoned by your Hand of Gul'dan and other ways in your talents, but more about your pets in a minute. So basically, when your Wild Imps expend their energy when they go down, you have a 10% chance per imp to absorb their life essence, granting you a stack of Demonic Core. So it can be quite random on your imps, and it's impossible for you to be using Demon Bolts on your opener, but Demo in general is still a spec that takes a while to ramp up, so you only see those procs a few seconds into the fight. A sure way to get those Demonic Cores, however, is with your Dreadstalkers, so when they fade, like your imps, they will have a 100% chance to give you those Demonic Core stacks, making using them on cooldown a must, like it was on Legion, but much more important here in BFA. They give you a total of 2 stacks per 2 of the demons. So once you get into it, what you're probably gonna end up doing is managing your soul shards with your Demon Bolts and your procs, and finding the best moments to use those said Demon Bolts, making sure it won't overcap soul shards, and even tracking the timer of your pets if you're really into it, to even somewhat predict when you're gonna get those stacks, but that is something that is more reserved to guide talk when I do make them in a few months. Now, in general, these procs and Demon Bolts makes wonders to make the spec flow well. They are quite random to make the spec more fun, but not so much to make it frustrating. Is an excellent way to just get more demons out there to boost your damage, which in turn is just gonna funnel more Demonic Cores, which in turn fuels Demon Bolts and soul shards. So it's just a cycle that you're gonna be in with just the right amount of management. And it's also instant cast, like I said, which can help with your mobility, as most of your abilities do require you to stand still to cast. The sad part is that you won't really see the cool animation with it anymore, but hey. Now, what else do you get? Well, Demonic Gateway is still here, so is Banish, Drain Life, all of that stay the same. Call the Dreadstalkers is still the same, costs 2 soul shards, lasts for about the same time, but there's a lot more talents related to it, and of course those demonic cores, and all of these stuff that you might expect, and nothing changed on here. Shadowbolt again stayed the same, it does feel slower, but that's probably just the low stats, generates 1 soul shard like before, but you do get an amazing new effect to go with it. Hand of Gul'dan got some tweaks, so it still is the same demonic meteor that spawns wild imps, but now is on a 1 to 3 soul shard cost, summoning an imp per soul shard, and you still have the max of 5 soul shards. And the meteor cleaves all around, again the same as Legion. The other change was on the timer of the wild imps. They now last for a pretty hefty amount of time, of around 22 seconds I believe, and they also spawn around you, not around the target, which was such a dumb idea in Legion. So you see all the imps just firing the fireballs, which looks super cool, but in general mostly the same. The timer does really help though, just creating this army of imps as opposed to just having a few for a short amount of time like it was again in Legion. Much more manageable in BF5. Implosion has been made baselines. Demonic forces suck all of your wild imps to the target to explode, dealing damage all around. So this is your main source of AoE, especially in Mythic Plus or dungeons, just summoning imps to explode them, which is so satisfying. Along with Implosion, Shadow Fury is baseline as well, which is obviously great, adding more utility, however still has the cast time, which sucks, but hey. Your pets also stay the same. The one difference I noticed though is on your Felguard, the ability that you get now on the Commands Demon thing is no longer Felstorm but is the stun. I think that's a pretty smart idea to kind of force players, especially new players, to use a stun more often, which I think was fairly unused on most Demonology Warlock players, and you can still bind the Felstorm to some key, so there's no issue in that. Now you also get a new ability, which is your new cooldown, which is called Demonic Tyrants. You call upon a Demonic Tyrant, increasing the duration of all of your demons by 15 seconds and increasing their damage by 15% while casting Shadowbolt Volley at your enemy. So an AoE Shadowbolt to nearby targets, and it's free of cost, you just have to cast it. Now this is sort of gonna work like a cooldown version of Demonic Empowerment in Legion, mixed a little bit with Thalkeel's consumption in terms of when you use it. So the main idea it seems to be going with is that you want to summon as much demons as you can, so wild imps, Dreadstalkers, etc. Again, like Thalkeel's consumption. Although your Doomguard and Infernal Summon pet cooldown are gone, by the way. And once you get a decent amount of them, you pump this guy to just boost them all. So again, it's not something you will be able to use at startup of a fight, at least not in the first few seconds, but shortly after. A very cool cooldown, nevertheless. You're gonna be constantly thinking about it, finding the best ways to abuse it, getting all these sort of pets in, because there's more in your talents that I'm gonna talk in a bit. So a wonderful addition to the Demonology arsenal, and awesome looking. The increase of the duration of your pets, from the cooldown, can even allow you to get like 4 Dreadstalkers at the same time, which is really cool, and just have a literal army of wild imps. And again, with haste values and stuff like that, it can go even more crazy. Then once they start fading out, you're just gonna get those demonic core stacks, so for more soul shards to just keep those demons rolling. Pretty freaking cool, right? And I'm not even touching on talents yet, as there's even more synergy there to make this cooldown even more awesome. And yeah, as for the rest, I think it's all the same. Mastery is still the same, just increases your demon's damage. So is your Soul Link and the Soul Leech. So let's move on to those juicy talents. So what do we get? Well, in the first tier here is mostly focused on multi-targeting. Baal's Scourge Bombers, I think I'm saying that wrong, is a super cool ability. You just summon this portal and bats just come crashing down. As you can see here, just pew pew pew, damaging everyone in the area for 6 seconds on a 30-second cooldown, costing 2 soul shards, however. Something that we would be using in dungeons and whatnot, especially great there since things like Implosion require that build-up, right? This just allows you to get some damage straight off. Demonic Strength will then just empower your Felguard, infuse your Felguard with Demonic Strength, charging to the target and unleashing a Felstorm doing 400% increased damage. Now, like I said previously, Felstorm still is a thing, it's just not on your commands demon ability thingy, but your pet still has its baseline. This talent just kinda allows you to have 2 Felstorms at the same time. Obviously, this one is much more powerful, it does have that 1-minute cooldown though. Like Baal Scourge, just great to burst multiple enemies down. This one does more damage, it's free but also has a bigger cooldown, and you have to take in mind of your pet positioning. And I can also imagine, since it's such a big damage increase, potentially great for single target also. And then Dread Lash is the one more catered to sustained type of damage in cleave. When your Dreadstalkers charge into battle, so your doggies that I talked about before, their Dread Bites, which is their main attack, will cleave all nearby targets and deal 25% more damage. So again, this is your go-to for cleaving fights or sustained multi-targeting, something that the other options won't be as good for. Your doggies without this talent never were all that great for multi-targets since they are primarily single. This will just upgrade them for such, which is cool. It also increases your single target damage a little bit because of the 25% damage increase on the Dreadbite, but is not a lot. Second tier here, you got your Doom back, which who in their right mind would want to take this back, right? Unless it's unbelievably powerful. It's actually funny because besides these talents, there aren't any dots whatsoever to keep up, which is kinda odd at first, but managing your soul shards and pets and procs are more than enough. I don't think that you really need a dot to manage, but hey, it's here if you really want one. Demonic Calling is the same as you know, making your Dreadstalkers free of cost, but now also makes them instant cast, which just thank you, Bliss. It just helps making the rotation even smoother, putting them out faster, helping with mobility, all around amazing. Power Siphon is a short cooldown of 30 seconds. You instantly sacrifice 2 wild imps to give 2 charges of demonic core. Now this is quite interesting since it basically allows you to go straight to 2 demon bolts, getting you to 4 soul shards right off the bat. I don't know exactly the numbers on this and how powerful it can potentially be, but it does allow you to get your opener much quicker. You can just go for a Hand of Gul'dan, get 3 imps, and then sacrifice 2 and go straight to demon bolts, and then just get all these soul shards to play with. And you can do this every 30 seconds. Now, besides your opener, once you get everything going, I never felt the necessity for it and just prefer to have Demonic Calling, but we shall see the numbers in the future. Cool nevertheless to fish for some procs. Third tier here, the same as you would expect, Burning Rush still here, Demon Skin, Dark Pact, and nothing really changed. Now here you once again have some interesting choices. From the Shadows will improve your Dreadstalkers even further. Now on the main targets that use them, they will apply a debuff causing the targets to take 20% more Shadow Flame damage for 12 seconds. Which is basically all of your abilities, I believe. Now this does not synergize with Dread Lash. Dread Lash cleaves with the Dreadbite ability only. This is on the targets that use the ability itself, so they call the Dreadstalkers. So you're not gonna apply this debuff on all targets. Would be cool, but that's not how it works. That could potentially be really powerful. This is primarily a single target ability with just a flat damage increase. Soul Strike adds an unused ability to your Felguard in a similar way to a Felstorm, which is also quite interesting. Command your Felguard to strike the soul of an enemy, dealing damage, and generates a soul shard. This is basically gonna work as an instant Shadow Bolt, pretty much, on a short cooldown here of 10 seconds. In practice, it is quite boring. It is cool having an unused ability for your main pet, kinda like kill command from the Beastmaster, but yeah, it is a bit boring to use, but pretty good nevertheless. This time to fish for some soul shards instantly. Summon Vile Fiends is a new pet that you get to summon those demon things from Argus, and if you know Grimoire of Service from Legion, it kinda is like that. It does have a 45-second cooldown, costs 1 soul shard, and it has a cast time. But what's great about it is that will obviously scale with your mastery and benefits from the Demonic Tyrant buffs. See the synergy coming in? So this is a cooldown that you would be looking to stack with it always, just to boost it more, and is another demon to your army so you can even look more badass. Next is the same as it was in Legion. Like I said, Shadow Fury has been made baseline, which was a smart move since it's a talent that we always gonna take. Might as well make it baseline and open up other choices. So you get a cooldown reduction instead, Death Coil, and your teleporter like always. Next tier, you also get wonderful choices. Inner Demons gets a comeback from Cataclysm, Mop, maybe both. Giving you the ability to passively summon a wild imp every 10 seconds for free, which is great, but on top you also have a 10% chance on that same proc to summon a more powerful demon for 15 seconds. All in all, it's great, it's a passive, you're just getting more demons, which is what you want for demonic core chances and all of that, and the more powerful ones heavily benefit from the demonic tyrants buff, although timing that can be a little bit difficult, so it's really RNG at that point, but great to see this ability coming back. Soul Conduit does what it does for extra soul shards, same as Legion. If it's gonna be a must for BFA, we'll just have to wait and see the numbers and all of that when it actually launches, but hopefully not, just to open up the other choices. And Grimoire of Service again works as it did on Legion. This time you wanted to stack with Demonic Tyrants instead of Thalkeel's consumption to get 2 Felguards on there, and the timers align perfectly for it, so the cooldowns. Again, which one of these is gonna be best, we'll have to wait and see, but overall every single one of these choices are great and cool in their own way, and that's how it should be. And last year we get all different new talents to choose from with a wide range of use. Sacrifice Souls is the most simple one. Every time you spend soul shards, which you're gonna do a lot, you gain 5% damage increase on Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt, stacking 5 times to 25% for 10 seconds. Nothing too special, kinda boring. Stacking that and keeping it up is extremely easy, which makes it boring. I feel it's kinda out of place, since Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt is not your main source of DPS, so why bother improving it? It does synergize as well with from the Shadow Silent here though, which also benefits the Shadow Flame damage by 20%, so it's 25% on top of 20%. So you're just gonna get bigger Shadow Bolts and Demon Bolts in there. How good that will be, well, time will tell. Demonic consumption is quite interesting, so when you summon your Demonic Tyrant, it will absorb all of your active wild imps to empower itself. So it's gonna do much more damage now by getting bigger Shadow Bolt volleys that it does. This seems to be more focused around burst damage or even things like dungeons where you can just get it out and just be doing a buttload of damage. For things like raids might be a little bit counterintuitive, since wild imps usually are your biggest source of damage, so again, number talk that is pointless to do now. That said, it is an interesting choice to make. Do you want to keep your imps, or do you want to just have a single powerful demon on there? And lastly, Nether Portal is super cool, quite expensive on 3 soul shards, but has a 3-minute cooldown and a pretty lengthy cast time, and you're just gonna get this portal with demons pouring through. Not only awesome looking to see, but is also something that you're gonna stack with Demonic Tyrants to boost them also. But again, it is quite expensive, so it does require some planning, since it is about the same cost as Hand of Gul'dan, and if you want to stack all of your cooldowns, there's a lot of casts involved, so I don't know how all of that will work in terms of getting the PS out, but very cool nevertheless. So, boys and girls and everything in between, Demo is quite amazing right now. It plays great, and no longer you have this awkward builder with spamming demonic environments with Shadow Bolts or managing mana. You get Shadow Bolt as a filler, which is fine. You have Demon Bolts as a main source of soul shards and as a proc to spice things up, making management of soul shards far more important. Your demons just feel super fluid to get out, even with shit gear and leveling. You never feel resource hungry or that you simply cannot do what you are supposed to be doing, like in Legion. You get a pretty decent amount of cooldowns that requires some amount of thought process behind them, and they look awesome like most things in the spec. A wonderful talent tree full of synergy, benefiting in specific areas or abilities depending on what you're about to face. The only drawbacks of it is just how the spec works. You still have a lot of casts, making mobility a little bit shit, but again you do have the Demon Bolts, which are instant casts with a proc. You have Demonic Calling or even Soul Strike to use on a move, but yeah, if you add Vile Fiends and Nether Portals and stuff like that, it does require you to stay stationary for a pretty long periods of time while setting all of that up, primarily for your cooldowns. Changing targets can also be a little bit annoying, or if mobs die too quickly because you are ramping up type of spec after all. So you do need time to do what you need to do, although you have some talents to help on that area. But well, you do need some weaknesses. With all of that said, we'll just have to wait and see on how it's gonna work in the real world. Numbers wise, they are great right now, but that can easily change, and obviously it will be tuned, and we're gonna wait for the live version for that. But in terms of how the spec plays and feels, well, I would give it a 10 out of 10, but it's probably an 8 or 9 because you do have that cast stuff, which can get a little bit clunky. So guys, thank you for watching. Remember to like and sub to get more videos like this, and hit that bell icon. Probably gonna talk about the Destruction Warlock next. And as always, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time. See ya!